No.
Look at me. You want to play games?
Appropriately.
You have our juror stating that
in law enforcement, where officers are expected to uphold justice and protect the community, instances of misconduct and abuse of power can send shockwaves through society. One such incident that has recently come to light involves a police sergeant named Christopher Pulis from the Sunrise Police Department. Pulis, 47, was fired from his supervisory position at the Sunrise Police Department.
No.
This all started with the sergeant's intimidating behavior toward a suspect. He allegedly displayed pepper spray after the defendant had already been placed in a police car.
Look at me. You want to play games? You're playing with the wrong mother.
What you gotta do, man? You gonna mace me, mace me.
Look at me, mother. You want to play games? You
Sir.
ever get disrespectful with
Sir.
my officers?
If you
I
don't
will
do it,
remove your soul from your body.
I'll do it, man.
Seeing that a female officer from a nearby location intervened to prevent the situation from escalating further and stop police from resorting to drawing out a can of pepper spray on the suspect. The female officer made an effort to intervene by pulling Sergeant Pulis away from the suspect. Nevertheless, police reacted aggressively by seizing the female officer by the neck and forcefully spinning her around. He persistently pushed her backward until she collided with a police car. After the incident, Christopher Pulis left the scene and got into another police vehicle, threatening the female officer again to see her in 5 minutes and cursing at her. Back in January 2022, the big boss at Sunrise Police, Chief Anthony Rosa, came out with an official statement calling out police's actions as inappropriate and unprofessional. Now, Pulis, with 23 years on the force, has a history. He was accused of going overboard twice before, but he got off the hook both times, but sued this time.
Appropriately.
you have our juror stating that the subject person did certain things inappropriate, disgusting, wrong, and in any trial, if you heard that from a juror, you would recuse him immediately.
Similar to this police captain, who believed that being a law enforcement officer would exempt him from facing consequences for breaking the law, meet James Matt French, a captain with the Oklahoma City Police. He gets pulled over for a DUI, but instead of cooperating, he attempts to use his position to avoid the situation. Despite admitting his mistake, he tries to evade arrest. When the officer approaches, it's apparent he's heavily intoxicated. Despite being questioned about his drinking, he insists on his authority. However, when his attempts fail, he has to step out of the vehicle for further questioning. Even during sobriety tests, the captain attempts to manipulate the situation. But the cop makes it clear that it doesn't matter who he is going to get the same treatment as anyone else, leading to his ultimate arrest and subsequent administrative leave. This cop handled the situation very well, putting the captain in his place, but the next ones were not so good. This cop handled the situation very well, putting the captain in his place, but the next ones were not so good. Watch with me. In 2019, San Marcos Police Sergeant Ryan Hartman responded to a disturbance call, initiating a sequence of events that escalated from officers instructing a man named John Kelly, who was deaf, to put his hands behind his back. During the incident, officers repeatedly commanded Kelly to put his hands behind his back, deploying tasers despite his attempts to convey his deafness. The situation intensified as the man struggled to communicate his inability to hear their verbal instructions. He even asked for a pen and paper, but the officer ignored him, rolled over, and started shouting at him again as he kept asking for pen and paper through signs. Eventually, the officers provided an alternative means of communication, revealing the man's physical exhaustion and frustration. Despite the ongoing communication challenges, the officers proceeded to arrest Kelly without apparent justification. He expressed innocence and the urgent need for medical attention due to excessive tasing. Markings on his body indicated the use of force by the police. Kelly, aggrieved by the unprovoked violence, filed a lawsuit against the officers. In this next case, a retired veteran sues the police. On October 31, 2022, Deputy Jamie Goad of the Columbia County Sheriff's Office stopped visually impaired veteran James Hodges, suspecting his cane to be a firearm. Despite Florida law allowing open carry of firearms, Deputy Goad justified the stop based on the visible cane. As Mr. Hodges displayed the cane, the officer continued the detainment, requesting identification. Then he talked to her supervisor, and once it was clear the cane posed no threat, continued detainment violated Florida statutes. Subsequent actions, including handcuffing and searching, require reasonable justification, absent in this case. The officer's actions appear unwarranted, contrary to legal standards. An internal investigation led to policy violation findings, resulting in disciplinary actions against the officers. Mr. Hodges, exercising his constitutional rights, refused compliance with unlawful orders. To this, Sheriff Hunter responded with suspension. While Sheriff Hunter's actions are commendable, concerns remain about reforming officers' attitudes through training. And this goes for this group of cops too. In this distressing incident, Sylvester Hayes, an innocent father, was mistaken for a wanted domestic violence suspect by Dallas police while he was getting food for his kids. Without verifying the information, the officers aggressively approached Hayes, demanding he step out of the car. When he questioned the basis for his arrest, the situation escalated, with the officers attempting to forcefully apprehend him. Hayes, attempting to explain the misunderstanding, faced further aggression from the officers. Despite his protests and attempts to clarify the situation, the officers continued with unnecessary force, pushing him into a car and restraining him. The ordeal worsened when the officers discovered a gun in Hayes' car, which he asserted was legally registered to him as he asked for help. It was only when the supervisor arrived that the officers realized they had detained the wrong person. This realization highlighted a serious error on the part of the officers, leading to a lawsuit filed by Hayes, seeking punitive damages and attorney's fees. This was it for today. Craving for more? Subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments what case grabbed you the most and why. Until next time, stay safe out there.